Hi everyone and welcome back. So I'm here with the fourth video on writing Marie Curie proposal, and today I will talk in detail about how to write a strong implementation section of Marie Curie proposal. I will give examples from my proposal where I have achieved a very good score on the implementation section of Marie Curie proposal. First, I will give you the general overview of the implementation section, and implementation section has a weightage of 20% in the Marie Curie proposal. And what evaluator wants here is a realistic and efficient work plan. And there should be clear roles of who will do what. For example, who will be the leading what type of activity, either you or your supervisor. You should clearly mention what resources are available and how you will use them, what kind of task they will be involved in, and then you should also talk about the risks. This is also very important, that you should be honest and fair when talking about risk, and you should have backup plans, mitigation activities. Basically, in the implementation section, you have to demonstrate the feasibility of your project. You have to show that this is practical and applicable. Tell about the resources, the time, how you allocate the time, what kind of activities, work packages, milestone, deliverables. So I will go into detail of each part here. So basically, this section, third section, is divided into two parts, 3.1 and 3.2. So I have divided it into the 3.1 into 3.1a, where we give most of the details about work packages, work plans, and it's important that you include at least 4 to 6 work packages. So these are represented throughout to save the space as WPs in the project or proposal. So the first one mostly is data management. So how you will manage the data and what kind of tasks you will do and what are the deliverables. And then the second one mostly people write is the career development work package. And then you can go for more technical scientific parts. For example, for me, the third work package was about the material synthesis, and then their characterization, properties, measurement, and modeling training. You can include up to like 6 work packages, and that should be in detail. Like, you should really mention what you will do and what you expect and all these things. For example, you have to include the objectives of each work package. There could be like multiple objectives, 3, 4. Then you have to include the tasks, like what kind of activities you will do here. These should be well detailed again. For example, this should be in detail. Then you write the deliverables and milestone, for example. So these are a little bit confusing for me because I was not clear in my first proposal what actually the difference between deliverable and milestone is. So I will go into detail here, like to tell you what these are and give you the examples about these, and assign the responsibilities, like who will lead on which kind of activities, what your supervisor will do, and what kind of activities you will be leading. So these should all be mentioned in the work packages. And then is the risk management. Risk management is you should add one section. For example, here from I have written 3.1b. So it's better to include a table and include 3 to 4 risks that you expect from your project and how likely they are, like what their likelihood is, like medium, low, or high. It's normally recommended not to add a high risk in your project unless there is a reason, but you can write it as a medium even though it seems like high, and then what will be their impact and what are the strategies to mitigate them. So you should be honest and prepared with the backup plan here. You should give mitigation plan. For example, for me, when I was writing, so for example, I'm synthesizing the material which have unpaired spin, and they are likely to react with air. They're not air stable that much, and so although the risk seems higher, I put it medium here, and I give the mitigation strategies. For example, for me was like I would use strategies to protect the structure, like static protection, substitution, and also I mentioned that I would use inert atmosphere and all these things to mitigate the risk. And then is the section 3.2, which is about the capacity of the host institutions. So here the host institutions you should mention for both your actual host where you will spend most of the time, and also the secondment host. So mostly describe the infrastructure, for example, the labs, the equipment, the instruments which you will use. You should mention the names here, like which you will use here for your project. How will you integrate? This is also very important, how you will integrate in that institution, in that research group. And also their human resource policies or administrative support, or any other other than research, the activities or the resources that those are available to support you. They're important to it's important to mention them here. And also, although you have mentioned this thing so many times in the previous section, you can again briefly in 1 to 2 line mention that your supervisor is very supportive. He has supervised many postdocs, including Marie Curie postdocs, and yeah, these kind of, and his expertise will be very helpful. And also mention the same thing for the secondment, and also mention the resources and any kind of activities or support services that are available for you, when the time you will spend, that will be very smooth for you to also integrate in that secondment host. All right, so this is a general overview of implementation section. So now we go a little bit into detail how I structured my proposal. But before that, I will show you what score I got from the evaluation reports. So in the first proposal I got was 3.1. So this was a very low score. When I was writing my first Marie Curie proposal, I was writing in a hurry. I had very short time left, and so this section was the most poorly written, I would say, and some things were not clear to me even, but I just submitted, and they pointed out so many weaknesses here that this section killed my proposal. But when I wrote the second proposal, although I could not get the perfect score, I think it may not be possible, but they pointed out very minor weaknesses, and so I still got decent score here. And yeah, so I will show you the evaluation report. These are important to understand what kind of mistakes or weaknesses we should avoid when writing the proposal. So in my first proposal, for example, what I got was this thing, the weakness of, so mostly weakness were here. There were not many strengths in this proposal. For example, the first thing they mentioned was the work plan is not presented in a sufficient, clear, and comprehensive way. And tasks presented in the Gantt chart lack temporal connection. So the Gantt chart, I was also not very clear, although I tried to search from Google, and I could not find like a perfect way of writing the Gantt chart. So this also did not have much information or connectivity between different activities or tasks. And Also, they said milestones and deliverables are not properly differentiated. So, because I was, as I mentioned before, I was myself not clear about what the difference is. So, I was just mixing them up. And also, I was writing like maybe 4 or 5 publication from 2 year, which was unrealistic, and they pointed this out, like this is unrealistic. And also, another weakness is I'm going into detail because this is important to understand when you're writing your implementation section. You have to be careful about these things. Underestimate the number of persons month required to complete our synthetic tasks. So because I mostly changed my Humboldt proposal into Marie Curie proposal in a very short time, so I wrote a lot of science, like what I can do, and that was maybe possible in 5 year, not 2 years. So that was really unrealistic and over ambitious. So this they didn't like it here. And risk associated with instability issues. So they also pointed out like I did not address them well. And hosting arrangement inadequately discussed. So I maybe did not discuss in detail the administrative supports and other support thing. And they also pointed out that how the researcher will integrate into the host institute. So it's not well explained. So this was also one of the problems. So many problems in this implementation section when I wrote first time, but when I wrote the second proposal, although I put a lot of effort here, but I still got some minor weaknesses. But I will not go into strengths here, but I will point out the weaknesses here, like the proposed timing and the duration of the secondment are not sufficiently justified. Although I written somewhere in this in my work package that I will spend 2 months, but they said it's not justified why you will spend this much time, or I was not sure what it all means, but this was what they pointed out. And they also mentioned insufficient information is provided on available resources and software for planned computational studies. So although I mentioned the resources that I will use, but I'm not sure how well I should write that. Maybe they wanted it in a more clear way. And then administrative risks are not adequately addressed. I made one administrative risk, I think, section in my table, but maybe they were not clearly mentioned. So this is also something to be careful when you're writing your proposal, like what kind of administrative risks. I'm still not sure what administrative risks can be on the way. For example, I was writing for my second event, I would need a visa, and I would apply early so that I get timely visa and I can visit my second host. But maybe I needed to write more about administrative risks. But you can search. I'm still not very clear like what kind of administrative risk should be addressed. So this I would say you should search more or Google if you can find more information, or write in the comment section if you find information that could be helpful for others. So then, what was the length of my implementation section? So it was about 2.2 pages. So I started at almost the end of page number 8, and it went to page 9 and page 10. So roughly 2.2 pages of length. I think it's appropriate for 20% weightage from the proposal side. If you give like roughly 2 pages to your implementation section. And so now I show how I subdivided or made sections on each part of the implementation section. So implementation section 3.1. Quality and effectiveness of work plan, assessment of risk, appropriateness of efforts assigned to work package. So I divided them into 3 subsections. First was the quality and effectiveness of work packages. So here I give details about what kind of how I have divided my project into work packages and what kind of the work packages will be. And then I give a detail of work packages, like 6 work packages. So this was about 3/4 of one page. So I have given a lot of detail on the work packages here. And then I mentioned appropriateness of effort assigned to the work packages. Like I describe why this work package is given this much time, this much effort, and why this is lengthy, why this is short, like these kind of things. So, and then the risk management. So I divided this into 3 subsection. So now I go into detail of like quality and effectiveness of work packages. So here I added this table. So this is the table I'm talking about. This was about 3/4 of a page, and I gave here detailed information on each work package. So I'm not showing all of them here, but the first how I wrote was this. Like I put the work package 1. This was about data management, and then who will lead this work package. Work package leader is my host institute. For example, Max Planck Institute is the leader, who they will manage this, like their administration will manage this. So start month, it will start from month 1 and all the way to month 24. So for each work package I wrote the same way: start month, end month, and then I wrote the objective, what objective I want to achieve. For example, here I have about 5 objectives from this data management. And then I made another section of a description of work task, like what kind of task I will do. So for example, here I gave 3 tasks, different tasks, and what are the deliverables. So here I mentioned the deliverables, but I did not had milestone in my first 2 work packages, like data management and career development plan. But my third work package was in much detail. So it was the same way. I was the leader in because this was all about the third work package was about the synthesis of the material. So I was leading that. So then it started from month 1 and end month was 12. So because this was, I mentioned that this is the most difficult or challenging task, and I would spend most of time here, and I added about 3 objectives in that case, and but the task that I added were about more than 20 tasks, like all different activities that I will perform during the synthesis. For example, my synthesis is a multi-step, so each step I gave 1 task to each step, and then the characterization, optical characterization, 1 task, their electronic characterization, 1 task, their like all these activities were included in the task, and then was the deliverable. So deliverable is something that you can show up. So here I will describe the difference between deliverable and milestone. So deliverable is more like for us experimental people, is more like what you can show, or what you can tell yourself, oh, I have achieved this thing, but that's not a complete story. So you need more information to make the story complete. For example, for me, it was I would achieve the synthesis of the final step or final product. So that's something to show, and I added 2 deliverable in my work package 3, but the objective, I added 2 deliverable, so synthesis of one kind of material and the synthesis of second kind of material. But the milestone was getting their single crystal structure and complete study of their electronic magnetic properties. So this is something milestone is like you really feel you have completed at least 1 objective, and then you can for example submit a paper on that finding or all the study that you have completed. So that's a kind of milestone. So that milestone should not be too many. For example, in my work package 3 there was only 1 milestone, but two deliverables. So that you have to be careful, because you have to add these milestone and deliverables in your Gantt chart. So in my first proposal, the mistake I made was I was mixing them up, and I was not sure. I was making too many milestones, for example, or too many deliverables where they were not appropriate. So some deliverables were in the milestone. So this is something very important to understand here. That I hope the explanation that I gave you about the milestone and the deliverable is simple for experimental. Researchers, like what you should write in the deliverable and the milestone. So next I go to the implementation section is appropriateness of efforts for the work packages. So here for example, I wrote was the data management plan work package 1, and the career development plan work package 2 will be given top priority. So I will start them right in the beginning. And similarly, I told that why I want to spend 12 months on the work package 3, because this is the most challenging part of my project, because most of time will be spent synthesizing and yeah. And similarly, work package 4 was about my second man. So what I want to do there and what time I need there. So why I need 2 months to stay in the first part. So I divided my second man into two parts. So first 2 months in first year, and then the next 2 months in the next year, and so on. So this is also section is also very important, that you convince the reviewer that what your efforts and time are appropriate for each work package that you have mentioned. So then is about the risk management, the third section of 3.1. So here I mentioned that a committee will be formed that will comprise of my both supervisors, my first host and my second ment host, and myself, and we will thoroughly evaluate all the possible risks. So this will be done in 5 stages. So I mentioned that first will be the identification, evaluation, then how to mitigate, and then monitoring and feedback. So then an appropriate mitigation plan, like in this table, will be formed. So here, for example, I was talking about administrative risks. So its likelihood is low and impact is also low. So I mentioned that host experience to manage MSC action will ensure this, but this is one of the weak point in my proposal also. So I'm not sure this was the appropriate mitigation measure, so I should maybe go into detail here. And the second risk I mentioned was about the air stability of my material. So I told them that how I will do it, using inert atmosphere and static protection to increase the stability. And also I mentioned that my material might be light sensitive, so how I will work, maybe store them in the dark and something like that. So I keep the impact low, but these risks like low to medium. So this is how you should address the risk management section. So next is the 3.2 section. So 3.2 section is about the hosting arrangement, and in this I divided into host infrastructure. So this is about my main host, and then how I will integrate into their team, and then support services, like what kind of help I can achieve other than my the research activities. And then I talk about the secondment host and the facilities or the resources available there. Here I show the host infrastructure. So what I mentioned here, I gave a detailed table of my host research facilities and what kind of facilities are available and what will be their purpose. So I made just two columns in it, all the resources and their purpose, like Like for example, I divided for synthesis and purification, then properties, characterization, so all the research facilities, and then theoretical modeling or simulations, and the resources available here. So you can also look into your host research facilities, and it's better to make a table to for the reviewer to easily go through your proposal. And then integration into the team and host institution. So this was one of the weak point in my first proposal. I spent some time like how I should write this section in a stronger way. So I looked up all the opportunities, like other than research, what kind of activities or opportunities are available to integrate with the people, to socialize with people at the research institute. So I wrote the bi-weekly research group meetings. That's one way where we get together and we can talk, discuss. And similarly, we had monthly seminars where and then monthly or bi-weekly happy hours, social hours that your institute has. You can mention those things. I also mention like summer evening barbecues. Those are very good events for socializing and integration into the host institute. So this was, I think, convincingly addressed. And then is the support services. So support services, I mentioned there are plenty of support service for the researcher, administrative staff, library resources, and I highlighted there is a high priority given to work-life balance. Now, for example, there are monthly mental well-being workshops in the institute. So you can point out something similar from your institute. So also I mentioned that my research institute has been awarded for the sixth time as a family-friendly human resource institute for its policies. And I also mentioned that administration help a lot in different kind of issues like city registration, acquiring residence permit or tax filing. So they are very helpful. So these all kind of support services other than research you should mention. So these are also like make your life easier at the research institute that you're planning to go. So, lastly is the secondment. So, associated partner, secondment. So, again, you should mention the host facilities that you will use. You should mention the names of those facilities and mention the resources of the secondment that will help you, different tasks or work packages that you mentioned. You should link them here. So, and then you can sum up your proposal or implementation section at least by one sentence. For example, what I wrote was both MPI and Oxford are world-class research centers, and hosting a Marie Curie fellow fits naturally well within the objectives of both organizations. So something similar you can bring up to close your proposal. So this was the last sentence from my proposal. So one thing that I missed here was the Gantt chart, so here I talk about the Gantt chart. So where was the position of my Gantt chart? It was placed right after risks and before the start of section 3.2 about hosting arrangements. So this is I show the same color of my Gantt chart, so you can design your own color your own way. So here I mentioned the Gantt chart, and this column, first column here, is about work packages and activities, and then I divided into three main columns. First quarter, like 6 month, next 6 month, and next 6 month, and next 6 month. And then each section is divided into six sub columns. So for each column stands for 1 month, so 6 months plus 6 months and so on. So what I wrote here was first I wrote the six work packages here: data management, career development plan, synthesis of the material, their study of properties, then further tuning of the properties, and then for last one was about project management. And then I mentioned the deliverables. So these deliverables here, you can mention which month you will uh, achieve them. So this should be linked with your work packages table that you give here. So these deliverables should be linked with the work packages section, and you can mention which one you will achieve, because if you write too many deliverables, so there might not be enough space. So although they still look a lot, but you should be careful while promising your deliverable in the work packages and here, because you have to mention them here. Then the milestones. So for milestone, I just wrote you can see here 3 milestones. And then the secondment 2 times a year. So this I mentioned here right in the beginning of second year, and at almost the end of the second year. And then is about journal conferences. So I planned 2 conferences and 2 journal publications during these 2 years, and then seminars, roundtables, which I want to give 3 seminars and 1 roundtable conference that I will organize. And then outreach and the dissemination communication. So I mentioned here that I will do it throughout my 2-year proposal. And then is outreach. So I mentioned different outreach plans here, and then supervising and mentoring. So this is about the PhD and master students. So I mentioned here I will do it throughout my proposal. I would mentor and supervise the PhD students and master students. So this is how my Gantt chart was. It was about the length. If you wanna ask about length, I think it was about less than 1/4 of a page. Yeah, this is all about the implementation section of my proposal. So I will come up with another video about the B2 section of Mercury proposal. So it has been asked by one of comments that I should write something about B2. Although B2 is not a part of the evaluation, but it's important that you write the B2 section in a better way, so it's easier for the reviewers to go through it. Although it's not evaluated, but they definitely look at it because it does contain your CV and other parts. So it's better to write that concisely and in a more organized way. So I will come up with another video on, maybe a short video on B2 part, and I would try to show some example there from my proposal as well. So I hope you find this video helpful, and thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.